So this is what I'm working on at the moment. I'm doing one of the future learning courses and I'm doing the Tudor one at the moment. Also, this is a godsend. It's so warm. Says the person drinking hot coffee. Well, I mean it's lukewarm at the moment, but you know. So, hello and welcome back to Imagination Mansion. As you can see, I have cut my hair, like, completely. And I literally mean I cut my hair. I did quite, obviously it's grown out a bit, but I think I did a pretty good job. Obviously, I haven't been on here for a while, mostly because I had a lot of stuff going on, and because I think I talked about in my rekindling creativity video that I hadn't been doing much because just monotonous stuff was easier. And to be fair, with Imagination Mansion, I think what I'd done was I'd taken on, because obviously a lot of the advice that people getting onto YouTube and stuff like that get given is find a niche and stick with it until you have enough people who like you for you, who wouldn't mind you changing and will stick with you as you change and broaden your horizons and do more stuff. Which makes sense in theory, and obviously this probably works for a lot of people. But the problem was I decided to pick a niche where they were okay to do, but I made them too broad, and so I ran out of content very, very quickly. And so quickly that my subscriber number hadn't really increased, my what view count hadn't really increased, my view time hadn't really increased. So I was like, okay, what should we do? So I was like, oh, these do this along with me seems like a good idea. And so I did the world build with me because I thought it would be fun and I thought that people might enjoy it, but that got even less engagement than anything else I'd done. Mostly probably because it was just me filming my computer screen and there wasn't even a little mini me in the corner or anything like that, and it was just lines of text, so I didn't even have an interesting thumbnail or anything like that. So honestly, I'm not surprised, but it was kind of that was a well, what do I do now kind of thing. And I think the problem was I went in following advice for people who, have a niche, something they can talk about. Like, you know, if I'd have chosen books, even, it would have been easier, because obviously there's books coming out all the bloody time, and I could have slipped in bits and pieces about writing. And, you know, I could have said, like, oh, so-and-so writes like this, and so-and-so writes like this, and, like, this genre is like this, and all that kind of stuff. But I just went, you know what, I'm going to do writing. That thing that I do. But I just kind of, like, I'm the kind of writer that just kind of word vomits and then fixes it later. So and a lot of my stuff, because if you go on my website, a lot of my stuff is quite short, and it's kind of, like, very self-contained, and so that is quite, most of them I have written in one go. And I haven't really, you know, sat down and gone, okay, I'm going to write something. What do I want the plot to be? Who do I want the characters to be? Where do I want it to be set? I just write it, and it all kind of comes in one lump. And so trying to make a channel around that was kind of, obviously looking back, a terrible idea, because yeah, you can't do that. If you don't know what you're doing, you can't write anything telling other people what to do, because you don't know what you're doing. Which is odd, and people would be like, oh, but you did a degree in creative writing, like, how do you not? It's interesting, because I think what I did there was helpful, and what we did was we studied a lot of different other writers and a lot of genres and the history of writing and all that kind of stuff. But when it came to actually, because we had to do a final portfolio, which was obviously 2 pieces of writing, and the bit I struggled with the most, and probably had, like, the most BS in it, was my, why did you do this? Why did you do this? And the amount of stuff that the amount of time I had to spend after what I'd written looking for stuff that kind of looked similar to it, that I could say I was influenced by, was a lot. Like, I used to have to be like, right, okay, I'm gonna send you my story, tell me if this reminds you of anything so I can put it in my writer's review. Because it was hard, because I didn't think about anything. Like, it might have been influenced by something, but not consciously. So it was very hard to do, because yeah, even when I was at university, I wrote very spontaneously, and I wrote very intuitively, I guess. And it's surprising how little of my degree was actually part of that, because another part of what I did was I did biography, which was honestly one of my favourite things, because I started doing a biography on Jules Verne, but then I changed my mind and did Jules Verne's wife, which honestly, from a academic point of view, was probably ridiculous, because we have an okay amount of information in the UK on Jules Verne, but most of it is understandably in France and in Central Europe. And we have even less information on his wife. But I think that's what I find it interesting, and it allowed me to do, like, a historical fiction, because we don't know that much stuff. So you kind of just have to take events from Jules Verne's perspective, where his wife was there, and just kind of imagine what it was like for her, I guess. So yeah, that was quite fun. I also did, like, 2 different things on Shakespeare. Well, no, I did medieval theatre and I did Shakespeare, because it was Shakespeare's contemporaries. So I actually didn't, I think the only sort of, like, I am writing fiction that I did was for my portfolio. And like I said, with that, it was very, I just wrote it, and then I had to kind of, like, come up with reasons why I'd written it afterwards and hope that it sounded okay, and I passed, so it was clearly fine. But yeah, so I'm kind of starting anew, I guess, with this channel, because obviously, as I've said, I've kind of got nothing more to say in the like writer's toolkit kind of thing, because like I might be able to slip some tips and tricks in here and there, but like writing full video after full video after full video is hard when you yourself don't know what you're doing. So I decided I'd kind of be a bit more, I'd scrap the advice of like do a niche and stick to it until you've got enough coverage that you can broaden. I'm just going to start broad, man. Because at the moment I am doing some Tudor studies, which is quite fun. And like, what else am I doing? I've got 2 books on the go. I have Book of the Moon that I actually started reading ages ago, and then I just put it down, but I put it down somewhere where I couldn't see it, so I kind of forgot I'd been reading it. But it's really good, and it goes through sort of like the basics of the moon, and then culturally, so like poetry and like how it's influenced like stories and stuff like that, and then a bit more in-depth information on the moon, and then like what we think we might discover later on. And it's very interesting, and I do really like it, because I do these FutureLearn courses, and I can't pay for them, so I don't get a certificate or anything like that, so I'm just doing them for fun. But I did one on moons, and it's basically like all the important moons in our solar system, so it's not just our moon, but it's also like Saturn's moons and Jupiter's moons and, you know, Pluto's moon and all these kind of ones. And it's like really interesting, and I might actually go back and read my notes, because like, well, because that's what I do. I write them in a notebook, because obviously you only get so long on the course, and because I can't do the exam because I can't pay for it, I basically just use it to write everything down and then kind of use it as a textbook later on with my really badly scrawled notes. So that's how I do it. So if it looks really inefficient the way that I've been, because I have just been basically copying stuff down, it is really inefficient, and I know that. And it's literally just me writing it all down so that I can read it again later without having to like either open a new account and start the course again, or like have to pay what I can't afford to get like an exam and get a certificate and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. And like the other book that I'm reading at the moment is this one. It's a very wide range of interests that I have. I'm only halfway through at the moment, but it's quite interesting that Celts may not have come from where we think they've come from. The word may not mean what we think it means. I think prehistory is something that I quite like, and medieval history is something I quite like. I will probably be making very, I guess, loose content, like in terms of like, I might try a bit of daily vlogging, I might try a bit of sit down and chat vlogging, you know, these sort of like time-lapsey ones that I used to do, and I might do some which are a bit of everything, you know, because I think that was the problem. I was limiting myself and I was getting bored with it because I was just doing one thing, so I need to stop that. And I also need to tame this, because you can tell it's warm because it's just getting fluffier and fluffier because of the humidity, and it's quite ridiculous. But this, don't buzz at me, please don't buzz at me. This is my new friend. It is how I am surviving the summer. It was like, I got it from like Waterstones of all places, which I'm quite happy about. So, but yeah, Probably gonna do some more tutor studying, maybe read some more of one of my books, and yeah, I'll just see what I do, what I film, what I don't film, and just have fun. Because I think that's what I've never done. I've never like tried to have fun with it. I've just kind of been like, this is what you need to do until you can get to the bit where you can just have fun with it. And that's just depressing and stressful, and honestly, we've all got enough stress in our lives. So, yeah, do what you want, because a pirate is free. You are a pirate. Yo-ho. So, most people have, like a stationary shelf or a stationary cupboard or, like a drawer. I have a box. This is not even all my stationery. Some of it is under my bed, but we've got this was from my notebooks video, and this is what I use for journaling at the moment, so I find a use for it. This was the video, obviously figuring out notebook, which kind of obviously, as you can see, didn't get used that much because I ran out of things to say. Then got 3 little mini ones that are fairly new. I have this little purse that I got from like an independent shop up in Cumbria when I went to visit my parents. No idea what I'm going to do with it, but I want to do something with it. What we've got down here, I've got my diary, I've got some pencils, I've got another pencil case, notebook, flashcards, another notebook, what we've got, cable. Back when I tried to do a zine, don't know, might try again at some point, because it was kind of fun to figure stuff out. What else have I got? Oh yeah, because I got some zines to see what I could do. My old sketchbook, another old sketchbook. What book is this? Oh, this is actually a really good book. I always feel like more creative after I've read it, so that's always a good one. Oh my god, this is so hard to do one-handed. And this is writer's handbook, so like a bunch of like publishers and agents and magazines and things, though not all magazines, which I was quite surprised at. Like, it didn't have like History magazine or anything like that in there, so I don't know what that's about, but whatever. Fancy paper, more not specifically Harry Potter notebooks, but like magical notebooks. Oh my god, why? Another artsy book, which is why it's in here and not on my bookshelf. A couple of colouring books. A French study book that I haven't used in ages. My story ideas notebook. My old business notebook that I ran out. My current sketchbook. A little timetable-y thing that I don't use as much as I should. Musical theory. An old diary that I used to jot down stuff. My story idea. A mishmash of stuff. My French, which I haven't used in ages. What I use for like current business planning. A couple of bookmarks. Oh, this is really cool. This is like the intro to the Disney film, and it's really fucking cool. Big sketchbook, another pencil case, and then some fancy paper. And that is all right by my desk. And then I've got this one that I've got out currently because I'm obviously doing my tutor stuff, and then these books kind of live in there at the moment as well because they're my current reads. So I am sort of organised, and then we don't look at that part. That's just. I also had to switch to iced coffee because it just got far too hot. And I'm actually using this, which my mum actually made because she used to be a DT teacher before she retired, and the box for this little guy.